leap of faith.
This is the way. Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Tells me you're most relentless.
Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, brought to you by the Drive-In Podcast Network, where we discuss film, TV, and all things Hollywood. Here on the show, I'm your host, Christian, and I'm joined by a friend of the show. He's actually one of my coworkers. His first time on the podcast, Mr. Shelby Williams, and we're here to give our thoughts on the latest series to hit Netflix by storm, that is Arcane League of Legends. And before we begin today's show, you can listen to our podcast on platforms around the internet. And if you're a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter at Film Optix. Again, that is Optix with an X. Shelby, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. It's welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We're not here to talk about Green Lantern today, but
oh man, just so everyone knows, Green Lantern is the best movie of all time. And if any movie doesn't compare to Green Lantern, and like, is it better or worse? That's how I compare all movies and TV shows. Just so you guys have like a visual.
No, it's all good, man. Yeah, it's a nice little Sunday here. How's your weekend then?
It was good. It was busy. Got to see some family, hung out with some friends. That time kind of cut short on my part, but it was good. How was yours?
It was good, man. I've been watching Steinfeld, rewatching that. That's on Netflix right now. What did I do yesterday? Oh yeah, we had our nice little work outing.
Yeah,
in the past
I saw that for the last 2 nights.
Yeah, so it was fun. You know, we got to show the out of towners a little bit of Music City, so it was cool.
Alex come? Or is it Alex?
David. Yeah, David, and yeah, he came in a little bit later. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, him and TJ were here, and we went to Party Foul. That was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's been forever.
Anytime with Deep is fun. I found that out.
Oh yeah,
Deep is like that little closet like partier. Like he knows the ins and outs of how to party and how to have a good time.
Yeah,
so
it was great. Yeah, I had a nice little pre-game before they came to fake me. I kept telling people, I'm like, yeah, the pre-games at my place. Everybody,
I saw that. I saw the text messages. And I was like, man.
I mean, I do know what was coming, but I was like, hey, it's whatever. But no, it was a great time. Last time I went to Party Foul was when the NFL draft was in town, the same weekend as Avengers Endgame. That was a busy weekend.
That was a very busy weekend.
Very, very busy
Last
weekend.
time I was at Party Foul, I was with Dell. We were having a team, as a small business organization of Dell.
Yeah.
We all went out and they bought us drinks and food. So it was just a lot of just free drinks and food. So Party Foul is a really good place though. I've been there a couple of times.
Okay. Yeah. I just had some chicken tenders, man, and my mouth is on fire, but
I enjoy their poutine.
Yeah.
Because I love potatoes. And so like anything with French fries is delicious. And then I've never even heard of poutine until I went there and I was like, this is a thing? What is this?
Yeah.
And started eating it. I was like, this is actually good. I like it.
It's great stuff. Great stuff. But yeah, as I mentioned before, all the listeners out there, we're going to be talking about, honestly, probably the best TV show I've seen in a very, very long time. I know some people were saying it's the Game of Thrones for TV, but as we all know, video game adaptations like movies and TV shows have generally just sucked.
100%.
Terrible. And it's, saying that this is the best adaptation of like any video game property isn't saying much technically because everything else has just been so subpar and just terrible. But I mean, this is it's
in all fairness, I do think that most video game adaptations usually has a storyline that they all try to stick to because the games have been out. The cool thing about League of Legends is I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's a MOBA, a massive online battle arena, where like the storyline for each character hasn't really been put out there. So there's not like the lore's there, but it's not heavily harped on.
Right.
There's not, I don't think there's any books on it. Like World of Warcraft, there's tons of books that get novels that get written. And so there's a lot of story that people have to adapt to, where with this specificness, like they had a lot of room to play with and they did it really well.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be right back with our League of Legends, or excuse me, our Arcane League of Legends. People say Arcane. I think I'm just going to shorthand it to Arcane. For anyone out there listening, but we're going to be right back with our Arcane League of Legends review right after this short break.
When I was a kid, me and my sister, we played a game where we pretended to chase monsters away. I'd say, no monster's gonna get you when I'm here. Then a real monster showed up. I have to find her.
All right, and we are back. That was a little snippet of the Arcane League of Legends trailer provided by Netflix. And the story is as follows. Set in a utopian Piltover and oppressed underground of Zaun, the story follows the origin of two iconic League champions and the power that will tear them apart. Show creators Christian Linke and Alex Yee are also a part of this. And honestly, this entire cast is it's stacked. You got Hailee Steinfeld, you got Jason Spisak and Kevin Alejandro. And it's, man, oh man. Honestly, it's been crazy because I keep checking the Rotten Tomatoes score, and as if that doesn't necessarily determine whether a movie is good or bad or a TV show, because it's all up to, subjective tastes. But the average tomato meter for critics is still at 100%.
Wow.
For the average audience score, it's 97%. I think it was a 98 a few days ago. But this is it's amazing.
It's a great show. I mean, 100%. It's the best adaptation from a video game that I think I've ever seen. There's things that I think that I wish they did, or like, for instance, like the Jace character. I love the actor, the guy who did the voice for Jace, because he's in Lucifer. I think he's also in Arrow as Brother Blood. I think he's a really good actor. He was great for the voice of Jace. The issue that I had, there's moments in the film or in the series where I wish he showed more emotion. Where like I felt like he could have went up a level to where it made you feel that pivotal moment, because you see in there where he has these pivotal moments where his character grows or like makes these decisions. I feel like there should have been a lot more emotion brought into it. And there just wasn't. It just fell flat a little bit for me.
Okay.
So I understand the 97s and 98.
Yeah.
Overall, though, I think it was a fantastic job. My hat's off to him.
Yeah. No, it's honestly, we'll get into, the art style, I'm sure, and whatnot, and just the story overall. But give me your initial reactions first off, and then I'll give mine, because I'm interested to hear what you say about it, because I have talked about it already. But, coming from someone who does play League of Legends very frequently. I used to a little bit, I was dabbling with the MOBAs, League of Legends, Heroes of the Storm, things like that. But I think I liked Heroes of the Storm a little bit more because it was just a little bit more streamlined for me. But that's, it is what it is. But
League of Legends is one of those games where you like it or you don't. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
A lot of people love it. I think a lot of people do play it. I think it's one of the most played games in the world. They did a fantastic job on how they released it, in the sense of like how they listened to the community and made those changes. Then they did a fantastic job of setting up what you would call like the pro scene, and having like a professional series for America, which is something that hadn't been done efficiently or effectively, I felt. You had CSGO, but that was more European tournaments, and there's a lot more European teams, where League did, hey, this is North American based. Here's North American teams. You have Europe. Here's your European teams. They play in their own league. China, you have your own league. Korea, you have your own league. And then you have the lesser regions, and they had their own little league. And they've grown and they've done a lot different. But setting that all up, it helps get people more involved into the game, more like relatable. Like you could be like, oh, well, I suck at the game. I'm bronze. Right? Like I'm iron. I suck at the game, but I can watch these professionals play on the weekends and have a good time.
Yeah.
And so I thought that they did a fantastic job of setting that up. The show itself, when it got released, we were all hyped. Me and all my friends who watch or who play the game on a regular basis, we were really excited about it. One of my brothers is up to episode 8. He has 6 kids, and so he has to watch it like he's watching it with like his oldest ones, because the youngest ones, I think it's a little scary for him. But the oldest ones that are like in high school and middle school, they love it. They absolutely love it. I love it. I think the first 3 episodes, I really liked how they did that. Like they broke it up in 3 episode segments, and it was like different time areas, with the biggest leap being from the first to the second, just because you're having to set the backdrop in the first one, showing how Jinx becomes Jinx. Her name's Powder, turns into Jinx. Then you have Vi or Violet that turns into Vi. An homage to Vander, which most people don't know who Vander is because he's not in the game.
Okay, we'll definitely talk about it, because there is something I wanted to bring up, but I'm not sure.
So like, who are you thinking that he is in the game?
It's this wolf character.
Warwick?
Yeah.
He's not Warwick.
Oh, he's not Warwick.
He's not Warwick. There's no way that he can be Warwick. There's images of Warwick.
Warwick's connected to Vi and Jinx in the game, right?
Warwick is connected to them because he's from Zaun. So everyone who's from Zaun is usually connected some way or somehow, because Zaun's a very close-knit kind of group of people, because they were underclass that were oppressed by Piltover to a certain extent. Basically, they were the cast-offs. Warwick is someone who was created by Singed. Singed is the scientist. In the show, you'll see him from the very beginning till the very end. He's in the show. He's Victor's friend that does the mutation. That's Singed.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is crazy, because like you're trying to figure out all these characters from when we played the game.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're like looking, but there's like there are homages to different characters in the game. Like when Vander goes into that old shop in the beginning, there's a mask that has like a blood moon mask. There's a couple different masks in there that are relatable to skins in League of Legends, as well as like over the door, there's a helmet. That helmet is the exact helmet that Tryndamere uses. That has. And he is, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say he is from Noxus. I could be wrong, but I think he's from Noxus.
Okay.
So it's interesting to see that. Then you have Teemo. Everyone loves or hates Teemo. He's a cute, cuddly little Yordle that throws poison darts at you and blinds you, and he's just really annoying in the
Watch
game.
out.
Yeah. But he's referenced a couple times in there. It's just crazy to think like you have to figure out who's who. And so just trying to figure out who's Oriana's father, because we want to see an homage to Oriana, who's from Zaun. And she's basically, it was relating, like the theory that I saw was that Singed lost a daughter supposedly. And so they think that he might have created Oriana.
So it's more of like an adaptation of?
No, because that's her part of her lore.
Oh, okay,
is that
okay.
she was created by someone who had lost a daughter, so they're trying to draw connections to that. So
I see.
There's a lot of ways they can go with it, regardless if they do it or not.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see if they do it. But no, Warwick was created by Singed. So he was created by there. But they have him already, when they show him at one point, it looks like you can see his claws and his mouth up on the wall. And he was already in the middle of transformation.
Okay.
In one of the scenes. And so that was
because I thought he would have taken Vander, and
I assumed as much as well. And then there's another scene in Act 2 where I was like, oh, that might be Warwick with the fireflies, because the guy had the claws of what Warwick looked like. And so that was kind of interesting as well. Yeah, that first act was kind of crazy. I liked how they did a lot of things. One of the cool things is that like the bigger dude that was a kid.
Yeah, the guy with the glasses.
Goggles. Yeah. Those goggles is actually a part of Vi's original skin.
Oh, okay.
So it's a little homage back to her original skin, because she has those goggles up top.
Right. Yeah. I've seen pictures. A few of my friends still play it, because I remember when you kept asking me if I seen it yet. And, we've been in the middle of like award season, just doing all this other stuff, just finished our Harry Potter movie series review, which is now up on the podcast for everyone to listen. It's done. So 8 movies in, but, so when you had told me, because like I knew I didn't have to necessarily like play the game to know the characters, but I think the way you explained it was that it's kind of like an origin story for all of the heroes.
Yeah, because it's all before League of Legends actually starts.
Right.
Like nowhere in this, like they're just now getting to the point to where Vi gets her gloves and then Jace gets his hammer, which he's known for.
Yeah.
Right. Jinx becomes Jinx in this series. And then Echo, he hasn't became Echo yet. Like he's Echo, but he hasn't gotten where his abilities are and what he can do, because he can basically with his ultimate, he can go back 6 seconds.
Okay. Makes sense.
And so, which with a clock and everything.
Yeah.
So good.
Such a good scene.
But I was a big fan of it. I thought they did a great job with creating the villain and setting up Saligo as someone that you could relate to.
Is he a League of Legends character?
Not that I can tell. I thought that he might be Jhin, but he's not Jhin.
He's not Jhin.
He's not Jhin. And the only reason I thought he might be Jhin is because of the eye. I don't know. And same thing with Vander. I think they're just 2 side characters that really create the foundation for all these other characters that are very pivotal.
Okay.
Because like you can look at Saligo, and Saligo's like, you were always perfect, Jinx, because you were always who I needed you to be. And that's just yourself.
And yeah, and of course, for everyone out there listening, clearly, sorry, that was the wrong one. I am all over my rocker today. All this is spoilers. So it's been literally a month as of this being dropped that it's been out. So definitely go watch it. But yeah, I had to agree with you, man. It blew me away. It really, really did. It's, it was split up into 3 acts, and I watched the first episode before Act 2 came out, and then I got busy with other things. And then before I knew it, Act 2, then Act 3 came out. But I wanted to watch it as if they were just being dropped, like week to week kind of thing. So I wanted to watch 1, 2, and 3, then take maybe like a day break or something, marinate what I just watched, and then go to Act 2, and then do Act 3 for the same thing. And that's pretty much what I did, because I feel like for this story, and especially for binging nowadays, and a lot of studios are kind of moving away from, well, besides Netflix, because they're, and Hulu does it as well, but mainly Netflix is part of their motto. But I think this was a really nice test run, especially for things like Stranger Things, because like when you're binging something, especially this good, like with it, like the tone, the style, all the parallels in this show, it's crazy. So many foils. It's insane. But I like how they're giving you bites at a time instead of just you trying to, I got to rush and, finish up this show so I can talk about it with my friends. And like, it keeps the conversation going for a while. So I really did enjoy that. And like you said, I don't know if I necessarily have like a favorite episode. We'll definitely get to that, but it's those first 3 episodes, like you said, it really just sets, it's great world building. Like it's
because like it's introducing all these characters in this world that is completely foreign to what we know.
Yeah.
It's really funny because they show one of the oldest characters in the entire series in the very first scene, or one of the very first scenes, with the guy who saves Jace. The guy who saves Jace is
Victor.
No.
Wait.
Who teleports him using the
crystal. Yeah, that's right. I almost forgot about
No one knows
sequence.
who it is. Well, if you don't play the game, or if you don't know, his name's Rise. He's just a warlock.
Okay.
And he uses Arcane, and he uses scrolls and stuff like that. So it's really interesting just from that perspective, just seeing that from the very beginning. We were like, Rise is one of my favorite characters. I've played him for a long time. I'm really good at him. When we were playing threes, back when they had like the threes map, but they took that away, unfortunately. But that was like my go-to champion, because he was just, I could farm till late and then just carry. But that character, he has a really cool background, and just like, we're just going to show you an image of him. That's it. And then we're going to go back into another story. But I thought they did a fantastic job with like dropping hints, and then like making the people who were fans of League question everything. Like, is that the hints? Is that this? Because we're looking for the Easter eggs, right? Like,
Right. Yeah.
we're looking for like, they're like, how does Vander, like, because we were asking ourselves, we're like, is Vander one of the characters? Is he Dr. Mundo? because he's big.
Oh,
'cause
okay.
he's Dr.
So
Mundo.
there were some characters you didn't know turn. Okay.
So we don't you didn't know. Like there's a lot of characters that you don't know.
Did you know Powder was a Jinx?
Yes.
Okay.
You knew that because you knew Jinx and Vi are sisters.
Okay, I got you. So that
Because
was
that's part of their lore.
Yeah, part of the. Okay, yeah.
But the thing is like they haven't introduced Blitzcrank. They haven't introduced all these other people who are from Zaun or Piltover. They just show them up. Like basically, like it's interesting because you see. I'm trying to think of her name. The love interest of Jace.
Oh, hold on.
Mel, I think is her name. Mel. She's not a character in League.
Oh, she's not.
She's not a character in League. No, Mel's not a character in League. But it made like you're thinking that she might be.
I thought everyone,
or she might be related to a character, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like we were looking at it, we're like, I wonder if she's this person. Or when her mom got introduced, you were like,
yeah,
maybe she's the sister of this character or the brother or sister of this character, but you don't really know. So it's kind of interesting. Like they leave a lot of things unknown where from like a fan perspective of the game, you're like hitting your head against the wall, trying to figure these things out.
Yeah.
And then you have, I think there was a guy on YouTube, my little nephew, he was talking about him as being the guy who knows all the lore of League of Legends. Like he knows all of it. And he reviewed it and he said it was spot on.
Okay.
And
wow.
He said that it was fantastic. And, granted, like I said earlier, like a lot of the lore that's out there is very loose. It's very short. It's not like in depth.
Right.
So
I was going to ask you about
you
that.
have a lot of things to build off of, and create with this stuff. Like some of the like the storyline for Vi and Jinx is, I don't think it was truly told before the show.
No.
Like you had bits, like you knew they were sisters. You just didn't know what happened.
Yeah, there's parents dead.
That's all you really knew.
Yeah, from the
you knew they were both from
officers.
Zaun, but that was it.
Yeah.
But like it's just different. I don't know. Like it's really funny. Like because in the game, if you have, I want to say Caitlyn on one side and Jinx on the other in the game, then there's like a little achievement you can get in the game because it's like same thing with like because Caitlyn's always looking for Jinx to arrest her. In the game, Kha'Zix and Rengar are always going at each other.
Okay.
And so there's like a little,
a little back and forth, kind of like
forth.
in Overwatch. They kind of do it,
yeah,
there. But yeah, I think that's interesting. I didn't know that. Like, you know, coming from someone who, again, I haven't played League of Legends forever. I can't even remember who I used to play as. Like, I would play casually throughout college. Like, you know, if we had nothing really to do with a few of my fraternity brothers. So it was, you know, there was that. But see, I didn't know that there were, you know, either just characters who no one knows, even, you know, hardcore League fans. Like, I really like how they're trying to. It's new. It's a new experience for everyone.
Yeah, it is. And the cool thing is that it doesn't matter what background you have. If you have any relation to the game, you can watch that series. Like, because like my brother's wife never played the game. Doesn't even watch her kids play. She's taking care of the other kids. She doesn't have time to sit down and watch them. The two oldest ones battle it out. But she enjoys it thoroughly. She loved it because they did a really good job of setting the characters up, showing a background. I think they did really good voice acting. It was crazy good animation.
Yeah.
What was really cool about the animation was even people who, like my brother never watched anything. He doesn't watch TV shows at all. Like for him to sit down to watch something, it's just like, he just doesn't. He hates sitting down and watching TV. I don't get it because he can sit down for hours and play Hearthstone or Rings of Runeterra.
Yeah.
Like these card-based games on an iPad, but he can't just sit there and watch a television show. And so he can sit down and watch this show and he's just completely engaged.
Wow.
Because he just loves it because he's played the game.
Yeah.
And it helps him relate to the game that we've played.
That's cool. Yeah, I do like that. And, you know, we're definitely like scratching the surface when it comes to, I mean, just, you know, you see a lot of video game, you know, movie, TV adaptations, more so on the movie side, but I think they're definitely starting to get into that with TV. Like we're getting the Last of Us show dropping, I think it's next year, probably towards like the latter half of next year, because I know that they're filming now somewhere in Canada, I believe. But it's really interesting that it's the story, like you said, even with the animation, this kind of animation I've never seen before.
Yeah.
I think it was made, if I'm not mistaken, it was made by some kind of French animation company. I mean, I'm a big sucker for animation, and I feel like I was worried, like, you know, as I was watching, especially episodes 1 through 3, that like I was surprised as many people were watching it, because it's like a lot of people, when it comes to animation, they kind of just turn the other way.
Yeah.
Which really sucks, because earlier this year we had Invincible it's on Amazon Prime Video. It's based off of like a comic. It's not Marvel or DC, it's its own thing. But like, I loved it. It's amazing. Like, we don't get like a lot of good like animated TV shows anymore. It's very rare when we do.
And I think the stigma behind animation shows, like the cool thing about League of Legends is you have a wide variety of people who play it. It's not just like with World of Warcraft, you have that same, like you have like Henry Cavill who plays it.
Yeah.
You have like these famous people. Well, you have the same thing kind of with League of Legends with like Imagine Dragons. Like back in, I think it was season 4, they wrote one of the main songs for League of Legends.
Oh, did they? I did not know that.
Yeah. And like they had a whole thing with like, at the time, Bjergsen, who's a professional player, was on TSM. Now he's on Team Liquid as of this year. Thanks a lot, Bjergsen, for leaving us. But he like sat down with the Imagine Dragons people and was like help coaching them in like this little video, kind of like.
Did you see the music video for for Enemy? Yeah.
Well, they're in the
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
which is cool because they wrote a song before that.
Oh, they did. Okay, so
yeah.
they did not write it for the sake of League of Legends.
Well, they did.
Okay,
but they wrote a song before that for the sake of League of Legends. And they were the head opener for like season 4 for Worlds. Because Worlds is like this massive event where you have the top 2 teams, top 3 teams really from each region are supposed to be the top 3 teams. NA is always a question. But you have technically the top 3 teams, and they all battle it out. And then you get crowned the world champion. And Worlds goes from like Europe, China, Korea, America, and they just go in circles of who's hosting it. One year was in Brazil. It's really cool thing that they do. I'm trying to think of the song that League of Legends created, or not League of Legends, but Imagine Dragons. I'm trying to look that up real quick.
Oh, the other song that they did. Okay, yeah, because when I was watching, like I knew, like as soon as I heard, like the intro for Arcane, I was like, that sounds like Imagine Dragons, and I really don't listen to them all that much, but. The lead singer has a very distinct voice. Very
unique.
And I was like, that has to be Imagine Dragons. And then I saw, for Enemy, the song that they made, I really like how, they incorporated, like the music video actually is, Arcane League of Legends. You have Powder, you have Echo, and it's their whole dynamic, which I'm sure we'll dive into in a bit, because I would love to. I have some thoughts. I actually talked about it on my friend's YouTube channel, Suit Up Geeks podcast, when we did it. But it was crazy.
I'm still looking for this one. I don't know.
Oh no, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, I wish I could play the music
Warriors.
on the Warriors. Okay,
yeah. So they wrote Warriors, which is it was one of the, like, this is like when League of Legends first started getting into making their own music. Because like the music that they've used previously at times were just like from random artists. Like one of the most famous, I think, if you watched any professional series of League of Legends, the most famous one that everyone talks about is, they call it, "Oh, we're getting to game 5, Silver Scrapes." Silver Scrapes was just like this melodical song that was, I think in season 3 World Championship, something busted on the soundboard. And so it literally just played Silver Scrapes over and over again for like 5 or 6 hours. And it's a good song.
Yeah.
It's a great song. But it was just hilarious. It became a meme. And so now they only play Silver Scrapes if it gets to game 5.
Nice. Okay.
So
okay.
it's like, it was really cool. And it made this one guy who wasn't famous at all with his like music and stuff become skyrocketing and became super famous for it, because it got stuck in, it's such a catchy song, and it played for 5 hours. And so from then they branched out, brought in, I can't think of it, Imagine Dragons for Warriors, which was like a theme for Worlds at one point. And then they were like, okay, that was really successful. Let's do another one. And then they started bringing in their own artists and creating their own, like, you had like KDA, and then you had your KDA skins, and just started doing a lot of good.
That's cool. Yeah, I like how Riot Games, they're very it's diverse. I really do like it, and even just the music video itself for enemies, it's it's just Powder sitting at the last drop and her just being depressed, and like I really want to touch on just the relationship and like especially what happens in episode 3 because like that really broke me. It sucks. I was like. You have Powder and Vi. The dynamic there. Vander was more a mentor to Vi, and then Vi was kind of like the bypass mentor to the rest of their ragtag group. Because Vander cared about them, but Powder was obviously more gravitated more towards Silco because of what happened, and
Well, I think it's a weird perspective, right?
Yeah.
Like, because when you look at it, like Powder had no idea who Silco was.
No, not at all.
In reality, she had no idea who he was. And if she did, she knew very little about him.
Mm-hmm.
Vander was the only person she really knew.
Yeah.
As a father figure.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think he became a father figure. And I think it's kind of shown and kind of alluded to, specifically in the first episode when it kind of shows them two holding each other and on the bridge.
Yeah.
And he's there and he realizes their parents had died because he knew their parents, I'm assuming, but it's never really explained. But he takes them in as his like theoretical children.
Yeah.
Those two specifically.
Right.
Because he's like, he keeps telling Vi that you are in charge of Powder. You have to look after Powder.
Right.
Powder is your responsibility. That they're all her responsibility because they all look up to her as a leader because she is a leader and she has those leader attributes. And I think it builds up a really cool relationship dynamic to where you have like the one guy who's always blaming Powder for stuff. Like, why is she here? Why is this?
I'm blanking on his name, but he kind of looks like a ferret.
Yeah, he's really annoying. I didn't like the character. I like that they had him in there.
Yeah.
But he's the character that you're like, you need him because you need someone you don't like.
Yeah.
And so that's it. Because you like Silco. I like Silco.
Yeah, I liked him.
Especially, I think in the second act when he's playing with the sheriff's daughter.
Yeah, yeah.
It just shows like the psychopath that he is. Like, I love that. Like, I love a good bad guy.
So Silco's not a League of... Well,
people will try to make links to him. There is no proof. Riot has not come out and said anything.
Okay.
Same thing with Vander. That's the beauty of it. It's like, we're not going to tell you.
That's awesome.
Make your own decisions. Like, that was the whole thing. Like, I think the cool thing about Game of Thrones that everyone loved, because like, I hated Game of Thrones when I first saw it. Because it's like the first episode I watch, in the very first episode, you have incest and then they push the boy out the window. Right? Like, it's like...
It's literally book, like beat for beat in the book.
Yeah, it's 100%. I read the first book. It's literally line by line.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
the
crazy.
words, everything.
Yeah.
Is exactly the same. And I'm looking at it and I watched it and I'm a moral person. I'm like, dude, this is morally wrong and this is just morally messed up. A friend of mine when I was in college was like, you got to watch it. You got to get past it. I was like, I got to get past what? And so like I ended up watching it because my brother was like, you got to get past it. You got to watch it. I was like, all right, I'll watch it with you guys. So I'll watch it. And then dun, dun, dun. 7, 8 seasons later.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you get into it because you get into these characters and they kill them off and you're like, there's got to be a good ending.
It's a big fandom. Like it still is, regardless of
like how it ended.
Yeah.
Like everyone's still up until season 8. Everyone loved it. It was the best show ever. But what was so good about it was that they built these characters. They had relatable things. You wanted to see these people succeed and you wanted to see them grow into these things. Right. And you got to the point to where, okay, I'm going to mess up his name. Is it J.R.R. Martin?
George R.R. Martin.
George R.R. Martin.
Yeah.
Hadn't finished the books.
Still hasn't. And so it went into the writer's hands.
Yeah. So they no longer had the blueprint. They had the generalization of what he would want for the characters, right?
Yeah.
But they ran out of they didn't have the material that they could go back to. Because it's like, I think I read up to the third book. And in the third book, you got past the red wedding. You're already at the part where I got even past the part where Littlefinger kills Sansa's aunt.
Yeah.
Right?
Aunt Liza. Yeah.
Aunt Liza, whatever her name is. So that was all in the third book.
Yeah.
And you're in season 5 at this point.
There's a lot of stuff they left out for sure.
There's a lot that they do leave out.
They could have went a little bit longer, but for the sake of,
But overall,
they thought that the books were,
yeah. But overall, it was good.
Yeah.
Like the fans were fine with it. Even
Yeah.
the people who read the book were like, no, this is still good.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of like they went on their own after that point. So they had they had something that they could base off of, and then they got to kind of do their own thing. And you can see towards the end they flopped a little bit. Where with Arcane, they only had very little, and then they were able to create things. And so they can create these dynamics that you don't see, or that weren't ever possible or weren't ever thought of because
it's a MOBA game. Like who's gonna, yeah.
And at this point, for George R.R. Martin to finish the books, it's pointless. Because every fan out there has already guessed the ending.
That, and they're kind of just done waiting.
Yeah, they're done waiting. And you have all these different theory crafted. So if he chooses something, they're going to be linked. Oh, I thought of that back then, blah, 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 blah. And that's what's going to happen. Where here, it's like they want that to happen. They know people are going to do it. They want that to happen because they already know their story. It's their story. You don't know their story. And so they want you to guess because it draws you in, because that's what was happening then. Like with us watching Game of Thrones, after you got past season 5, you were drawn even more because you're like, they don't have something to reference. They're creating
season
something new.
6 was one of my favorite seasons of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Even season 7 was good.
Yeah.
Even though it was a little bit of a lull.
It was shorter, yeah, too.
And it was a little bit shorter, but there was a lull to it.
Yeah.
Because it was just building. But it was so good. Even
good.
the building was so good. You were just like,
people were waiting for season 8.
I got a ticket. Season 7 came out. I drove to Cookville and back home because I had to work the next morning. So I drove to Cookville on Sunday, watched the episode at like 10 o'clock at night with all my roommates from college, and then drove back home that night, got a speeding ticket. And I was like, you know what? It was worth it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It was worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the show was that good.
Yeah.
I think Arcane's going to have that.
I think so too.
I think it already has that at just the first season.
Yeah. And they've been confirmed for season 2, which is good. I hope they take their time with it, much like, I'm not sure if you saw, but Spider-Verse, the second one, we got a teaser trailer, and it's been about 4 or 5 years since we've gotten that one. And honestly, like, I don't want another season of Arcane right away. I want them to take their time with it.
I want it to be at least a year. But not too long, right? Like, because like I'm hungry for it.
Like Stranger Things 3 came out 2 years ago.
I want to be honest with you, I'm not a big Stranger Things.
I am. It's I'm saying, like, out of, like, Netflix makes a lot of duds when it comes to TV shows, especially movies. But out of everything I've watched on Netflix, this is my favorite series so far. Like 100%. Like, I mean, even, in going back with like episode 3, the big turning point, Powder essentially turning to the dark side. It's, I don't know.
And is she really turned to the dark side, or is it just her craziness? Because she's crazy.
Yeah. She's schizophrenic as well, which I've noticed.
Which she is, right? Because of the trauma that she sees.
That really,
and you know that
her.
in the game. In the game, you know it.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Because she talks crazy in the game. It's funny. It's cute. It's kind of like
Harley Quinn, but
very much like it's like a parallel to Harley Quinn.
Okay.
So like fans of like DC Comics, like myself, I loved Jinx as a character. I thought she was great, and she's a hyper carry in the game, which means like basically you get her fed, she'll carry your game because of her abilities and. Like her, like she's put in a good position to carry games towards late game. But she's a funny character.
Yeah.
She's got names for her guns that she talks to. She talks to herself in the game because each character has their own like little monologues and whatnot, and hers are hilarious. So she's a little off her rocker. And then this just kind of gives her more of a relatable, like, okay, she's schizophrenic, like because of the trauma that she went through, or she's like seeing people who are not there. And she's talking to them on a constant basis. So that's like, obviously she has a mental disability to a certain
Do you think that was because of, well, obviously now speaking from the game, like, I guess from the show wise, you think it is because of the trauma then, or because, we throughout when they were kids, she
always has this self-doubt, right?
Yeah.
She's continuously having this self-doubt, and people can relate to that, right? Like in your real world, you can relate to the self-doubt. I have self-doubt a lot of times, but then her self-doubt feels like it's been fulfilled as being like, even though she has the self-doubt, Vi never doubted her.
Right.
Right. Like Vi was always that person who always was her cornerstone, kept her up. And then she has that moment where her cornerstone no longer is her cornerstone, is calling her a jinx. And all those outside things that she's been able to keep out because of Vi, she can no longer keep out because Vi told her the one thing that she shouldn't have said.
Yeah, the one person that she looked to for validation.
And then in that moment, she breaks, her psyche breaks. And it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you see that today. Like, and it's even worse because Vi's gone after that point.
Yeah.
From her life.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I have a brother who's adopted. He feels different because he was adopted. No matter what, no matter how much we love him, no matter, we're like, hey, you're part of the family. What are you talking about? You feel different. Like, since day one, you've never been treated any differently. But there's a sense of abandonment there. And that's something that's very true with all adopted children. And adoption is looked as like this high and mighty thing, but you're taking a kid from their mother.
Yeah. Or if their parents, depending on
how it is, regardless of if you're doing a righteous thing or not, right? That kid being taken from their mother, biological mother, there's a trauma right then and there.
Yeah.
And you have that with Vian and with Jinx because their parents die. And then it happens again.
With Vander.
Then happens again with Vi. So it's so much that just builds up on it. So you see it, you realize it, you're like, man, I feel for you.
I was like, Powder's going to come in here and save the day. She's going, she's making her trinkets, her bombs. And
those bombs, the funny thing is like she throws them right now and she like chaps them on. Her ability is called choppers in the game. She throws out 3 of them and they sit in a straight line. And if you walk in them and they trap you, that's it. But in the show, they're a little bit different and I love them. They're hilarious.
Yeah.
And you're assuming, oh, she put in the crystal. She knows what she's doing. She's genius. She's going to save the day. And then she technically does. Like, if you look at it, do you really think Vander's getting out of there?
Objectively, she did. She set out what she wanted to do. But it came with a consequence.
But regardless of that consequence, let's say she didn't do anything. Let's just say that she didn't do that and she didn't show up. Vander's dead. Those 2 kids are dead. Vi's dead. They're all dead. Like, hands down, Vi can't see that. And that's the thing. Like, people don't see that in today's world. Like, if they just see what happened and then, well, they're responsible for that consequence. And in that moment, Vi has that realization of she's responsible. Why did you do this? You killed him. There was obviously an alternative when in reality there wasn't.
Yeah.
And then later on, she realizes she made a mistake.
Yeah. It's like, would Powder have been better off? Because, during, when Vi goes to rescue Vander, it's like that Anakin Skywalker thing, Mace Windu's like, stay here while we, go arrest the Emperor. Vi is saying, hey, like, Powder, I need you to stay here. Because, like, even though it is in the back of Vi's mind, like, yeah, she does mess up, but, Powder is my responsibility. And then, if Powder would have stayed, she would have lost even more. Like you said, because like everyone would have been dead.
Vi would have done something stupid because she doesn't use her brain.
No.
She's very hot-headed, right? Like, she's not mature enough at this point in her life to realize when she's outmatched, and she's going to continue to go at you until she's knocked out.
Yeah.
And then you have the 2 older kids. They're going to follow Vi to the ends of the earth. And so then Powder shows up, does what she does, and Vi blames her for all the deaths. And she blames herself for the deaths, which is one of the things which is really cool with the show is like, this is like real world stuff. And the thing is it's super relatable. Like, even if it's not exact science or exact like representation of what's going on in your life,
the actions,
you can relate to it
in
all facets. And so that's what really draws people in, I feel like, is that it's a very relatable show. It's regardless of like, if you like anime or not, you're going to like the show. The animation is amazing. It's not like other animes. And I think animes have a negative connotation because of the neck beards that you see, that like the full body pillows, the fan service. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
All that stuff is always floating around with anime. It's always talked about. I never watched anime because I was like, I'm not a dweeb.
I'm not a weeb.
Yeah, I'm not a dweeb. And so I didn't like, the only animation that I ever watched growing up was cartoon animation or like what you would consider real anime, and that would be Dragon Ball Z. And that's not even considered by real anime people who love anime. They don't consider Dragon Ball Z as
And that's Japanese anime. And it's like everyone has like, when it comes to the term anime, some people, when they say anime, they mean Japanese anime. Nowadays, I say Japanese anime, or there's this big notion of like, is Avatar less Airbender considered anime? I'm like, well, anime is short for animation. So
it's just a little bit different.
It's not Japanese anime.
Yeah, it's not like the Attack on Titans or I can't think of
Gurren Lagann or My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
Great movie, by the way. That was,
is it 7 Day or Night Day by Night?
Fate's Day Night. Yeah, that
such
one.
a good one.
Oh yeah, animation that is beautiful as well. But like, I've never seen anything like the animation in Arcane. Like the 3D and the 2D mixing together, and
like when they're breathing, it really feels like it's a real body they're breathing.
Yeah.
Even though it's animated, it feels like, okay, it feels like you're watching, what's the word for it? CGI almost.
Almost, yeah.
To a certain extent, it kind of feels like, okay, this is like Thanos. You know what I'm saying? Like she's breathing.
He looked,
even though it's more actual animation style versus the CGI, it had those relatable like body movements that never been captured before, I think. In animation.
Especially when after crap hits the fan with Powder and her her death monkey or with the crystal, the arcane crystal, when Violet like grabs her by like the cheeks, and like you can feel and you can see the raw emotion.
That's the emotion I'm talking
the
about.
The tears,
when I told you
everything.
about Jace.
Yeah.
When I told you about Jace, that was the emotion. Like you were in that moment. And I think Jace has those moments, like when the kid dies and he realizes it's due to his creation.
Yeah.
Like he has that moment and you're like, I'm wanting that actor to really voice that emotion coming through. And it just fell flat for me at those points for him. So that's the only drawback I had to the show, was like the other outside characters other than Vi and I think Jinx.
Yeah.
Having that raw emotion, it just didn't feel as raw with the other. It felt that with Victor, you felt that
Victor and Silco, honestly.
Oh, yeah, Silco.
Yeah,
you could you can relate. You feel the emotion where it felt like
gave you goosebumps.
Yeah, where Jace was more of like dry, to a certain extent. He was dry.
I would agree with that
because he was like he has like this in his mind. I relate to Jace a lot to a certain extent because of like he has morals, he has standards. He's not willing to cross the line, but he wants to use this stuff because he knows he can use it to better the world
and to help for Victor's life as well.
Like, but that's the whole point. It's like for betterment of people. He's not doing it for selfishness. It was never selfishness for him. And
I like how they did that in the show. It wasn't just him like a rise to power and like, oh, he just like disregards Victor. Like it wasn't that, like he knew Victor was there after when Victor gets sick, but Victor's always had health issues when he was a kid, and you start, you see Jace's humanity still. It's not just lost.
It's not. It's just there's moments where it's like at the peak and he needs to just get it to that next level, and if he does it, it just knocks it out of the park, and it's just like you didn't do it.
yeah.
Because like the show itself, I give it a 10 out of 10 regardless of that, even that fact.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
Even if you have to knock it for that, then it's like, come on. Like, come on.
It's such a small little nitpick. And like, you're always going to have small little nitpicks. Like even between, I thought the pacing was amazing. Like, even just the season finale, when after, there's the two seats with Jinx and Powder and just everything with Caitlyn. And then that whole dynamic between, the underground, like this big war is coming between the underground and Piltover. And, it's more of after after Jinx accidentally kills Silco, it was more of like, Jinx was still wrestling with it because, Violet came back and she's like, I'm not going to abandon you again. But with everything that happened, she kind of just like snaps. And after Silco dies, when Silco's last words to her, when he said, you're perfect, that's like a daughter figure to him. Like this entire time.
They reminded me of Dune.
Yeah.
There's a scene in Dune when Timothy Chalamet says, what if I can't live up to be the king?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be you. And then his dad looks at me and says, you've been everything you need to be by just being my son. which is perfect. It's like when he said that, it was just like in the moment, I was just like, oh my God. I get goosebumps. Yeah. And so like then Silco, this person who's like a horrible, horrible person when you look at it and like the things that he's done, right? And you realize he's done all of it for Jinx.
Yeah.
In reality.
Because she like just latches onto him after Vi leaves. She's
and that's the thing. Like they both were traumatized people because with his story, Vander betrayed him. It was his brother almost, basically, they said. And like Vander tried to kill him, right? And like stabbed him. Or was drowning him. And
drowning him. Yeah.
And the only way he got out was because he stabbed him.
I want to know how he got that red eye.
I don't know.
I can't remember.
I want to say it's probably from the pollutions from when he was being drowned.
Probably, yeah.
And it being somewhat damaged beforehand, probably due to because I think the whole thing was Zaun revolted against Piltover. They had this massive fight. I'm assuming his eye got somewhat damaged, and then when he was being drowned, there was the water
kind of made it worse.
Probably made it worse, right? But you have that to where he relates to Jinx because Vander was that for him.
Yeah.
And so that's the cool part about it is there's just so many layers.
Yeah, and like I said, there's a lot of foils between Vi and Caitlyn, Vi and Powder, the Underground, and Piltover, and even with Heimerdinger, like kind of they did Heimerdinger dirty. I'm like gonna kick him off the council, but it makes sense.
No, it's perfectly fine. I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
like
he's been like
being treated. It's like okay, so he's like an altruistic person. I think he went about things the wrong way. Even though he might have had the right idea. Yeah,
I think it was just due to his past and what he's seen out of everyone else.
And like he knew that like this, like the path that they're going down leads to this. And he knows that. But instead of trying to like, okay, well, we can still do it. And let's just put safeguards out to protect us. He just says nope. And having that nope.
Doesn't give he's just like, no, magic is too dangerous. Yeah. He's like, I've seen it. Don't want any more part of it.
The funny thing is we see that today. In our own politics, right? Like in the politics today, you have that to where you have people who are on the left and you have people on the right. And the right people can't see the same thing as the people on the left. And then you have those people who are in the middle who are like, I can understand both ways. Like I see what you guys are saying to be true. I see what you're saying to be true. Let's bridge the gap. And so it's like
compromise.
And people aren't willing to compromise.
Right. Yeah. And the politics in the show is fantastic, but going back to like what after Silco says to Jinx that she's perfect, that kind of like validates everything she's done up to that point, and that's when she goes like she was already haywire. Like I love like the reintroduction to her like in Act 2 because it's like oh man like Jinx is here, but it's like she really just goes over the edge, and that's when she sends that giant bazooka towards. Like that was the kind of like, oh, everything I've been doing is okay. I don't need to change. I don't need to go back to being Powder anymore. I am Jinx.
Because Vi's always wanting her to be Powder.
Yeah.
And that's what she's battling. She's battling between Powder and Jinx. It's what she's always been battling for. And so she's battling between these two. Vi wants her to be Powder. Silco wants her to be Jinx. Jinx is who she is.
Yeah.
It's the embodiment of who she is because she was raised by Silco. Because Vi abandoned her. And Vi just feels responsible.
Yeah. And
so she's trying to save her, but there's nothing to be saved at this point.
Yeah. And even Echo keeps saying, like she's gone. Like
she's not the same person that you knew. Like,
no, not at all.
And even though she shows glimpses of it.
Yeah. She gets pulled back in.
Understand.
Yeah. It's brilliant, honestly. It's kind of like the identity like crisis. I guess you say identity crisis because I guess you can say like Darth Vader kind of had the same thing between Anakin and him becoming Darth Vader. It's like
like that struggle of figuring out who you were trying to be
versus who everyone else
wants you to be and what your goal is. Because his goal there was simply just to save Padme. He didn't want her to die.
Yeah.
And so he was willing to cross lines to have that happen because his mother already died.
Yeah.
Right. And so Jinx is trying to figure out, do I do this? Do I do that? Do I do this? Do I do that? And
yeah.
So fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah. So I guess really quick before we've been talking for about an hour. We'll get out of here in a second, but I wanted to ask you, do you have like any predictions for like season 2, or like what was your favorite scene overall? Because I have 2, but I wanted to pass it over to you, so I wasn't sure if you had a.
I think one of my favorite scenes, I think I said it earlier, I might not have. It's when Silco is playing with the sheriff's daughter.
That was creepy.
It's super
no,
creepy.
like, but it's good. That's what I mean. Yeah,
it shows like how evil this man is. Really, like his nature. He has what he wants, and it's going to happen how he wants it because he has the power to do it. And
Kingpin.
And then I think, I don't know, I would have to say the scene between him and Jace when Jace finally comes to him to try to make the
agreement. Yeah.
And Silco's like, coming to me, I already won.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
He's like, I got Jinx. She's on my side.
He's like, well, it's not just that. He's like, I've won. Like, you're going to give me what I want anyways.
Yeah, because the dirty cop was, saying, oh, like everything's fine here in the underground. But he, him and his daughter, and even him knowing, like what he's doing is wrong. And like he couldn't keep up with it,
I think Silco's probably my favorite character in the entire series. Which is funny because I'm a really good person, but I love the evil person, right? Like it's just because of like it shows like the ins and outs of what he's willing to do, and what people aren't willing to compromise, and that's what makes the difference between a good person and a bad person.
Yeah, even with Vander, it's like you can kind of see a little bit of Ned Stark in him. He wasn't always perfect, neither was Ned, and
like he was virtuous, and that was the whole point. Like his whole goal in that first season was that he's trying to keep the underground safe. He's trying to keep them from dying. He's trying to prevent war because he knows what the price of war is. Because he sees that with Vi and Power.
Yeah, he's seen that before. So even with the drug, like the purple drug stuff that I forgot. Shimmer, that's right. Yeah. So that's kind of like their, gold down there. And it wasn't
until they just flooded the markets with it.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of like, it's funny, right? Like, I love how Shimmer is brought in and it's treated almost as like an opiate addiction.
Yeah. But it's, it fixes, it can help you in certain ways, but it comes with a price.
Like it helped Vi.
Yeah.
There's a moment where it helps Vi. It's not necessarily a horrible thing.
Help Jinx.
It helped Jinx.
It helps, even the guy with the glasses who's kind of, I think Caitlin was looking for,
it kind of helped him, but not really.
Kind of, yeah.
Because he was abusing it. And I was trying to figure out who he was because I thought he might have been the ferret looking dude. That you're talking about.
Yeah.
But it's not.
No.
One of the shopkeepers in the very beginning with Vander.
Yeah.
And so like he feels responsible because they all let Vander down.
Yeah. And he didn't want to talk to Violet. He didn't want to see her at all.
He didn't because he was embarrassed. He was ashamed. And even when Vi sees him and they lock eyes, you have that moment of like, oh shit, this is going down. Like they see each other, they get it. Like he understands, and then he just scurries off into like he's a rat. That's what he was.
Peter Pettigrew.
Exactly. Like, that was the thing. Like the show had so many different like we could sit here and talk for another hour. Like,
we could.
There's so much depth to the show.
It is for only 9 episodes.
Yeah,
and it's like if this isn't like the tightest storytelling I've seen since Avatar: The Last Airbender, in my personal opinion. Like
there's just so much wrapped up in it that's like it's just so good. Like the storytelling's good, the animation's good, the acting's good. Like
the tone of this entire it's a dark story.
And then it hits all these different things that you're kind of like you would shy away from doing because it could be controversial. And in this cancel culture that we're in, like people could have seen it and been like, "No, dude, this is horrible. We're not watching this show because of this stuff." It's making light of these things. It's not making light of any of it.
It's normal. It's real world stuff.
It's relatable.
I mean, even in
stuff.
Game of Thrones, there's incest everywhere, and they had like the brothels. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you. And I know a lot of people who didn't watch it because of that factor. They didn't like seeing that. So they just never finished the show. They said there's too much. And I told them like during the beginning, I will say there is a lot, but it definitely, they definitely get away from that a lot especially within the later seasons.
That's because George R.R. Martin wasn't writing the later seasons.
Yeah. Cause he used to come on each season, at least write, I think it was 1 episode per season, something like that.
And he always had nudity. He loved it. But if you look at him, like the dude's partying up every night, doing drugs, doing whatever he wants.
Yeah. I guess. George R. R. Martin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Not finished.
Dude's never going to finish that.
Not finishing Winds of Winter and GM of Springs. That's what he's not doing.
Yeah, there's no spring coming when winter comes.
Well, I saw a thing from IGN, and we'll close out here really quick, but he had said that he had begged HBO to go like 10 seasons. I was like, George, you're going to beg HBO to go 10 seasons, and I still don't have Winds of Winter or GM of Spring sitting on my bookshelf?
I'm fine with that, though. Like,
I mean,
10 seasons, I think, would have been perfect.
It would have been perfect, but I also want to see the books. No.
Obviously, as a fan of the books, you would want to see the books, but also as a fan of the show,
yeah,
it felt like it was incomplete. And that's the reason why it did so bad.
Very rushed at the end.
Yeah,
but
that's just due to the poor directing.
Yeah,
this one didn't have that.
No, not at all. I believe the showrunners for this have done a great job.
It's crazy how Riot keeps a lot of this stuff in house.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Like
I wish we could
groups like these are people who are singing that aren't big famous people. Like
it doesn't have to be.
They're not famous people who are like singing these songs. A lot of them, they're like
the undergrounds. Like for that first song, like when we first see the underground, the song's called Playground, I think.
Okay,
and then they were playing it when you like kind of first see like the vibe of the underground.
Yeah,
and for like 2 seconds, I'm like, is that Billie Eilish? I'm like, no, that's not. I mean, it's not Billie's song. And I look it up, and I was like, oh, it was just someone totally different. No one unknowns,
super unknown. Like,
and it doesn't have to be someone big house name like Ed Sheeran or Ariana Grande. It's just,
and what's even cooler, right, is like the biggest people that they have on the thing, right, would be the actress Hailee Steinfeld, and then Imagine Dragons, which is massive. Right?
Yeah,
and Imagine Dragons had just come off their first big album. And they were big fans of the game. So they reached out to Riot, or somehow Riot found out that they play the game all the time. Like when they're on tour, they're still playing the game.
That's crazy.
Right. And so like they're like, hey, do you guys mind? And they're like, no, let's do it. Let's write a contract. Let's do it. Why not? And so like all the other people, they're not big names. Like these artists are not big names. Like you look at them and you're like, I've never even seen something that you've written before.
And it's great exposure too.
Oh yeah, and these people have now created careers off of it just because of League of Legends.
Yeah,
they have their own recording studio, Riot.
Yeah, I mean it's. I mean, this is a game that we're talking about that had more viewings than the Super Bowl during their championship. I forgot what year that was, but it actually probably still happens, to be completely honest.
Yeah, because this is like soccer almost, because it's a world event.
Yeah,
like you have people in every country playing this game.
Yeah, and
you have people who aspire to be pros at it, because you have these pros who are making a crap ton of money. And even though like don't get me wrong, I play the game, I keep up with the pro scene for NA. I really do. I've been a TSM fanboy since season 3 because they did TSM Legends, which was like a behind the scenes view of it all, which was amazing. No one did that back then. So the guy who did it was Reggie, who's the owner. Brilliant. Or it was Lena. I don't know whose idea it was. Fantastic, because it brought me in. It brought other people in. We loved it because it was real. Like you felt all the drama behind the scenes of when they lost.
Oh, okay.
You understood like the drama going on between Chaos and Reggie. Reggie's a scumbag. No one thought that at the time, but now people are thinking like maybe he was a scumbag the entire time after all this stuff is coming out between him and Double Lift. There's so much drama that's going on in the pro scene right now, because what ended up happening was you had this is a little side tangent, but it's about League of Legends. You have a pro scene. You have a staple player named Bjergsen, which I've mentioned him earlier in the podcast. Bjergsen took over for Reggie after season 3. Reggie was the team owner, but he was also, the name is Team Solo Mid, TSM.
Okay.
So they're in their name, it says Team Solo Mid. The reason why they're called Team Solo Mid was because the macro of the game was completely changed by TSM, because it used to be you didn't have a jungler. You had 2 in the mid, 2 in the bot, 1 at top.
Okay, yeah. See, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
And so they had created to where you had 1 person in the mid, a person in the jungle, 1 up top, and 2 at the bottom. So they revolutionized the game.
Yeah, because you got to, okay. With that macro. Makes sense.
Well, you had to bring in someone strong. Well, they brought in this 18-year-old Danish kid, right? people had heard a little bit about him. He had a couple cool pentakills over in the EU League at one point, which wasn't nearly as big as NA. Like you had Fnatic and that's about it. And so like they brought him in. Dude took the stage by storm. He was so much better than everybody else here in NA. Carried games, carried TSM. Was the like his last contract with TSM, he got ownership of TSM. So when they signed the big massive deal with TSM or with FTX, the foreign trade or or the cryptocurrency trade,
Yeah.
it was like 120 million. He got a big chunk of that.
Oh, wow.
And so for him to leave the organization, which he had part ownership in, to go play for like one of their rivals, people are questioning like, what the heck happened?
Yeah.
We created this massive drama. And then on top of that, you had a former TSM player who was recorded as being probably the best AD carry to ever play in NA as an actual AD carry and from North America, as in double lift, started talking mad trash about Reggie, who's the owner, about how he's a bully and he's a scumlord. And so you have all this drama unfolding during the offseason as they're trying to like sign new players because now they've lost their mid laner, they've lost their bot lane, all this stuff because TSM had just brought in like one of the best supports in the world in Sword Art, and we didn't even make Worlds. And so like questions were being asked, all this stuff. Needless to say, it was a fiery offseason. It's been a fire. The TSM hasn't even announced their roster yet.
Oh, okay.
Which is even crazier because everybody else has. So like you're trying to figure out who are you guys going to get? Like,
Yeah. So it's like, like real world shot. Wow. That's
so all this stuff is like buzzing around and then you still have Arcane.
yeah. It's like, hey, like, well, if they're figuring out their stuff, we got this great new show. I don't think anyone knew how big this was going to be.
No, I think Riot probably was like, yeah, this is going to be good. Because like the funny thing is like you had Dota, which is what a lot of people compare like, or League of Legends is just based off of Dota.
Yeah.
Because Dota was out first.
Right.
Dota had their own TV show on Netflix. Guess what? It's not nearly as good. Not even close.
That's right. They do. Totally forgot about it. I've been meaning to check that out.
Japanese anime. It's
not
like
it's the
Arcane. It's nothing like it.
I don't see now that I've seen Arcane. I don't know if I can go back and watch Dota.
I'm telling you now.
It's hard.
I tried to go back and watch Cowboy Bebop. Hard.
Oh, see, like that I can watch because I
haven't watched it before.
Oh, you haven't?
I haven't. So I tried to go watch it. In the anime I watch, I'm like, man, this is just not Arcane.
It's like and everything. I will say definitely check out the Spider-Verse, the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 is what they released yesterday. I mean, the anime it looks a little bit more updated from.
Where did they release that on? Disney Plus?
No, it's Sony and Marvel. This is separate from the MCU. It's been a separate project. So Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was the first one. It came out 2018. And then now this is a continuation.
But when did they release the first one and the second one?
Oh no, like as in like they released like the new like teaser trailer for Part 1 yesterday. Okay. But they said Part 1. So I know there's at least 2 parts because like they put towards the end, it says like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And then it kind of glitched and it said Part 1. Everyone's like, oh, we're good. Oh, like, so, that kind of solidifies. Hey, there is more coming.
What platform is it coming out on?
It's coming out in theaters. Theaters only. Next year, October 7th.
Is it animated?
Yeah. It's good. It's good. Have you seen the first one?
I haven't seen the first one. What's the first one?
It's called Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I think Is
that the one where...
I think it's on Netflix. Hailee Steinfeld plays Gwen Stacy in that one.
I think I've seen that one. That's the one where Miles, right?
Yeah.
I've seen that one.
Yeah.
That one was fantastic.
Yeah. Like it's
so
animation good. It's just my favorite.
Arcane is better in the sense of animation.
Oh yeah.
But that whole storyline was
especially
fantastic.
the bridge scene with Jinx and Echo. I was like, what is this show doing to me right now? Because this is amazing. Oh my gosh. I was blown away. Oh my gosh. But wow, we've been talking for a while. Yeah. But let's close out here. So you said you would give Arcane a 10 out of 10. I would also 100%. Give it a 10 out of 10. 100%.
I've never seen it. Go see it.
Definitely. It's streaming now on Netflix. I'm definitely going to be rewatching it. I don't know, maybe not anytime soon. Maybe when they like, you know, right before season 2 comes out, I'm going to rewatch it. Or I don't know. I'm definitely going to be rewatching this one. And hopefully, if Netflix is listening, would love to see a physical copy of season 1 hit store shelves.
Oh, 100%.
I would love to see it.
I think if they did like a big release with it in the sense of like, hey,
they might.
Here's a bundle deal.
Yeah.
Right. Like you get a poster, it'll be signed by these people. It's like $60 or $70 or something like that.
Done. I'd do it.
I'm buying it.
100%.
And you give them like a figurine.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Like,
because there's some shows that like Mike Flanagan's like Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor. Those you can buy those physically. Same thing with Stranger Things. Those are a little bit harder to come by, but there are some Netflix, things that were like streamed specifically on Netflix that do get physical releases.
Yeah, and if Riot does like little like,
I hope they
extras to
do.
it,
Yeah,
like, just there's a little like, hey, here's just like some behind the scenes and like some other stuff. Dude, there's so many people.
I want to know how they made this animation because it's literally unlike anything I've ever seen.
Because they should do like a behind the scenes, like, hey, we're just going to give you guys kind of like a little insight as how this all started.
Yeah.
And where we came up with the storylines and how we did this. And
that's how Disney Plus does for like, it's called like their In the Making series for like WandaVision and Mandalorian and stuff like that. That would be
so like you could sell that as like a series, or you could even just put that in with
like special features,
like just like a special feature part of selling it. And that's why it's $60. Plus, you get the cool figurine with the poster that's signed. Like, and
you get one of the best animated series of all time. Yeah. It's win-win-win.
Yeah.
So yeah, Netflix, if you're listening, definitely, please, because I would buy that in a heartbeat. But yeah, that pretty much concludes our episode here of Arcane League of Legends. Want to thank Shelby, my coworker, for calling on again. Would definitely love to have you on in future episodes. It was kind of spur of the moment thing, because I was like, you know what, like Shelby's the one who kind of like pushed me to like. Kev asked me if I watched it, and I was like, I'm gonna watch it. And I'm so thank you. I'm blown away.
Yeah, it was great. I was blown away. I wanted to see from like your perspective, because you're a movie critic, right? Like you do this as like a hobby, and you continually do it. And I would assume that you're fairly successful because you always talk about it.
Oh, thank you.
That you can you talk about it, but you also continue to do it, right? Like, it's not like, oh, I just did it one time. It's like, I've been doing this for a bit.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so he knows what he's talking about. And I also enjoy your perspective on a lot of things that you've talked about when we do our team meetings, and you're like, our weekend at the end of the week. I plug
Netflix way too much in our team meetings.
He does, but sometimes there's some good nuggets in there.
There is.
But yeah, it's fun to watch, and I wanted to see from your perspective, like, because I feel like you've probably seen close to the amount of TV as I've watched, because I've watched, when it comes to real TV, I've watched too much. Like I've watched almost like there's almost not a series that you could probably name that I haven't watched. Like Stranger Things is one that like nowadays, like I've backed off. Like I'm not watching Stranger Things because I just don't think it's good. I think it's trash. I just didn't like it, but I respect other people who do love it. Like it's just not for me.
I wish a lot of people had your mindset on Twitter.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna trash me. Like I was told like Shanghai, like someone was telling me like Shang-Chi was getting got like an 80% or something like that, and I was like, why? It was phenomenal.
But you didn't like Eternals, and that was
I didn't like Eternals.
But a lot of people didn't. A lot of people didn't.
Reason, like it wasn't that I didn't like this. Like I love the actors.
Yeah,
I thought who they chose to play the actors were fantastic. I thought the acting was fantastic. I thought the visualization, everything about the movie was perfect. It was 10 out of 10 up until you get to the point of just the story. And the story just fell flat for me. Like you changed the story to fit a narrative that I don't agree with.
Fair enough.
Like at the end of the day, like you chose someone to be different, hold a different title within the Eternals. And unbeknownst to us, we'll have to see how it plays out. Right.
Yeah. Because they'll definitely return.
Because they're going to return. I wanted to see. His name's Richard Madden. I couldn't remember his name. Richard Madden. I wanted him to be a good guy. I will say there was one thing about that movie. I didn't believe him to be not villainous, but like I understand why they did what they did.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't agree with it.
It's fine.
I feel like Richard Madden as an actor, like we loved him as Robb Stark because he was fantastic. Then you put him as a villain in Rocket Man because he was.
He was also in The Bodyguard on Netflix. Yeah.
And that was pretty good.
Yeah.
I've watched that. Like I watched like the first 2 episodes or 2 seasons of it.
Yeah.
But like I wanted him to be a hero in this. Like I didn't want him to be a villain. The person who I thought was going to be the villain ended up not being the villain.
Which was, you're talking about Sprite?
Not Sprite.
Pixie, the small little girl?
No, that's Sprite. But she wasn't the villain. I understood why she did what she did, but she wasn't the villain. The villain was the person who I thought was going to be the villain is the guy who like goes by himself and lives on like the commune kind of deal.
Oh,
who can control the minds of humans.
Yeah. He was great.
He is, but in the comic series, he's the real villain.
Yeah, adaptations.
And so that's who I wanted him to be, the villain. And you didn't make him a villain, and you try to make him a good guy. It's like that's not even how his character's written. Why are you changing stuff that's already written? Like, what are you doing, Marvel? Like, you didn't do that with any of the other characters that you've ever introduced into the universe, the Marvel universe, and you're going to do it with the Eternals. Why? And then you messed up by killing the main bad guy, who's the main deviant, who's supposed to be Athena's love interest, because that's how you were going to, or what I thought you were going to do, what you should have done to bring in not X-Men, but you're
talking about
mutants.
The mutants. Yeah.
Them mutants come.
Yeah. Because people are thinking, after the snap, that's. Mutants are starting to pop up. But yeah, like honestly, and it's
from what I've gathered is that the mutants are going to come from WandaVision, from when she released her
I
power.
think so. Yeah,
and I'm like, that's just so stupid.
Maybe I'm just excited to see them.
I'm excited too. But like I was like, you have an easy segue here with the Eternals. Like I was all for the Eternals, all for you segueing. Like, hey, we're going to bring in the mutants now, and you didn't do that. Instead, you. We can talk about it later, but like instead or we can cut this out. But you went on your own little thing. And I just didn't like it.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah, it's all good. It is what it. And all this stuff is subjective. There's no right or wrong. Well, there's a right to Arcane because it is beautiful. No, I'm kidding.
Arcane does all right. Does no wrong.
Does all.
All right.
Oh man, but yeah, let's get out of here again. Thank you so much, Shelby, for coming on. We got a few things coming up in the podcast. We're going to be doing our continuing our Hawkeye coverage, episode 4. That'll be hitting on December 8th. Our Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 2 movie series review is out now, so it's all been said and done. Time to go back to the Muggle life, I guess. And we do have another movie review that we're going to be announcing on Twitter. Again, that's Film Optix, Optix with an X. So I don't want to give that away just yet. But do you have anywhere people can find you online, or you got a Twitter? I actually don't even.
Honestly, I don't do social media just because I don't care for Twitter. I don't care for Facebook.
That's probably the right decision.
I think it just causes drama in today's our lives today. I think social media is the biggest setback to humanity. Like we've created. Oh, I want to go on a tangent.
You're good. Well,
just basically, I don't do social media. So
fair enough.
If you want me, just hit up Christian in this podcast, and I'm more than happy to give you guys any of my thoughts.
Yeah, Shelby is off the grid, so
I'm offline.
You can find him on League of Legends at now.
Like Ron Swanson, yeah, very much. Not on the wire.
Honestly, I think that's a good thing because I'm on Twitter way too much. But let's close out of here, and we hope everyone has a great start to their week. And that's a wrap for today, everyone. Thank you all for listening. And if you enjoy the show, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay in the know. That was Shelby. My name is Christian, and we'll see you guys in the next one.